What's going on, Illumineers? Welcome back to episode 9 of the Freedom Gaming Podcast. We have some very breaking news for you guys in regards to NA Continental, so we'll definitely get started with that. But first off, per usual, we got the usual suspects here. You got myself, John, hosting like usual. Next up to my right, we have Mike. Uh, how are you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm doing great. How's everybody else doing? It's a great day. The weather just dropped down in Florida, so it's nice and cool. Which we only get a few days like that for the whole year, so you got to enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah, nice and cool. What, probably like 65?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
cold. Sweater weather for us.
I had to wear a winter jacket and gloves today when I went to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. So nice.
Oh
And
man.
then we got Brian right underneath me. Brian, how you doing today?
Doing well, man. Happy to be here, and it is definitely cooled off a little bit. We had nice temps, but loving it so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do like when the weather drops, but it's it is a little cold even though I've been here for 5 years at this point. Got a little three pack for you guys here today. Michael was trying to join us, but he was in the back of a van driving to a campsite. So he's going to give us a little phone in interview later on, which we'll patch him in for you. So you guys will definitely get to hear from him and see him if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're audio only vehicle on Spotify, then you'll hear his lovely voice. So starting off, like I was talking about, with our breaking news, came out about 8 o'clock today. Was the North America Continental information finally? So we finally got all the
Mhm.
information that we needed. I know some of us were worried about maybe they were going to cut down on LCQ, maybe just cut it out altogether. Weren't sure how many of the invites were going to be, but we got that information, and it is 99% the same as the EU Continentals, which is kind of nice to see. Like, at least they kept it consistent. So, for those of you that don't know, for the LCQ portion of it, which will happen the Friday before the main event, it'll be $90 ticket entry, so same as Europe. It's going to be 32 pods of 32 players, single elimination, and they're playing simultaneously. So
Best of three.
best of three. Yep, best of three. So you have to win 5 matches. You win your 5 matches, and you get yourself into the main event. Um, there's different, like, depending on how far you get into the LCQ will be what you get. So if you exit after the first round, you get to play in a specific side event where you play 2 rounds. If you exit after the second round, you get to play in a side event where you get to play 1 round. To win like 3 6 packs. If you get to
Yeah.
round 3, you get the Turbo Zone vouchers, which is another side, which is side event vouchers, which you can get. You can play like Pack Rush, you can play Constructed, just varies. And then obviously, if you win all 5, nothing for 4. So, but if you win round 5, you get to the main event. Going to the main event, it's going to be 7 rounds, game best of 2 format, standard constructed. It'll be 128, so it should be a nice clean cut. Um, and then obviously it's a top 16 to advance to the cut, and then it's, like I said, the same thing as Europe. So best of 3 once you get into cut, top 8 get the world's invite. All the pricing is exactly the same in regards to the mat, the Baymax mats, and then the foiled out. Um, Elsa's Palace
Cusco's,
and Cusco,
right?
Elsa's Palace, and the Baymax. And then the Worlds invite for the top 8. So my main takeaway, honestly, is the fact that Worlds itself is only going to be 16 players. But I also do find it pretty cool that for participating in the Turbo Zone events, so the Pack Rush or the Constructed throughout the weekend, or even the 4-player multiplayer, if that's your jam, just for participating, you get the non-foil Cusco full art, the non-foil Baymax full art, and then 2 booster packs. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. So there'll be
Mhm.
more circulating. So it won't just be like, oh, you had to qualify for the main event to get those cards. There's the non-foil versions which we see at DLCs as well, which I thought was pretty cool. And then obviously the 8 qualifying spots for Worlds is super cool. So it'd be a super small world, 16 people, 8 from NA, 8 from EU. Mike, anything that catches your eye real
Super
quick?
small world. Super small world. I see what you did there. It's I look. I think I have a little unpopular opinion on the LCQ. I really think they should have had some kind of requirement
Mm-hmm.
required to be able
Yep.
to sign up, whether it be 35, 40 points to the DLC or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little unpopular because people want to, if they didn't get a chance to go to any DLCs or something like that, and this was the one thing they could do. I feel like this isn't really the tournament to do that. This is pretty competitive, especially with it being best of 3. So I don't think it's like for your first time tournament, you probably don't want to go to this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then with the added inclusion of those promos that they're able to get just for signing up in the LCQ, it's going to encourage that player that I just mentioned, of someone that's just wanting to go play and collect. So it's going to make it really hard to get the tickets, I think. And obviously, selfishly, I really want to go to this. I am very competitive minded. It's going to be hard to get tickets. So we'll see. And I think it's kind of a weird thing. Like, and I'm just because it's my opinion doesn't mean it's the right one. But that's how I feel about the whole LCQ portion of it. The other parts that we talked about before, it's the same as it was. I love the added prizing for the LCQ. Like, I think that's really cool. And getting those promos is cool, but again, you're bringing in that other player that just wants to collect. And that's going to be a higher sought promo because there's going to be so little of them out there. It's only 2 events, really. So unless they keep those same promos for Worlds, which I really hope they don't. But we'll see.
Yeah, and like we talked about it in the past. I think we talked about it before the EU Continentals too, how like an LCQ is designed to be like a very high level event. Like if you're playing in an LCQ, you should have the mindset that you expect yourself to win the tournament on Sunday. Like you shouldn't be going to like, oh, we'll see what happens or anything like that. Like if you're going there, like you expect yourself to go 5-0. You expect yourself to go 5-0 the next day to get into cut. So like and I do agree, especially with the promos, it makes it a little more friendly, and it really shouldn't be.
No.
And like with to you, like what you said with your point system, like idea, like maybe necessarily like just someone or just like attending X amount of challenges or getting X amount of points at said challenges or at just a one challenge, just to prove that you kind of deserve to be there. Like you're someone who is competitive, not just someone who's going to just go just to like, okay, I want to get these 2 promos and leave. Like, I mean, it's a really dicey situation for sure. Brian,
maybe next year.
Yeah, Brian, anything you wanted to add?
Again, I kind of expected this to happen, just the copy paste. I believe though, when the EU announcement was made, PPG put out a post or like made a post that it was gonna be different. So like people kind of were like, oh, okay, sigh of relief. I guess we can look forward to seeing what they're gonna do on the NA side. Maybe from that time that everything got released to this, they're like, hey, let's keep it consistent and same. I'm curious if there was initially a different path that they were looking to take. I do agree that this weekend should not, or that weekend it should be the highest competitive level players, and then so we get a awesome like top cut, right? Because at the end of it, like now we're seeing with the ICCL, you have NA versus EU. And kind of want to see like the same thing going into Worlds, like best of the best, cross for battling the people across the pond and duking it out, and like, hey, these are the best. Obviously, it could be like 2 NA or 2 EU guys in the finals or whatever, but either way, representing EU, representing North America as the best, like I think that says a lot. But again, we're not trying to dissuade people. Maybe they could have done like more friendly side events for the LCQ and kind of just had some basic requirement for you to even sign up. And for the people that didn't do the math, it's only 1,024 tickets. We've seen with all the other DLC releases, it's gonna get sold out within the first 60 seconds. And then obviously it's going to be followed by a bunch of, I didn't get it, it's not fair. But again, if you've already qualified, don't have to worry about it.
Don't have to worry about it.
Don't have to worry about it.
And that's the other flip of the coin. And one clarification I wanna add to it. It's not that we don't want like we don't think casual or more people just getting into the competitive side should have a part in this. It's more, I think the way I see it is, since it's podded and it's not just one big pool of people, your pods are so important about how you can get through that day that if you get 31 people that are playing for their first time tournament just getting the promos, guess what? You're going to qualify.
Yep.
And someone else could have got people that all got let it goes and you know, they sweated each DLC and had some bad breaks, and this is their one path to redemption. There could be 32 people all at that spectrum for their pod. So I it's not that we don't think that the casual leaning person or competitive leaning person that's just getting into it should be in this. It's just that the pool thing is gonna make it like a whole nother
Yep.
variance to the tournament,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
typically doesn't have.
Yeah, your bracket
Um,
is going to be very indicative. Like whoever's in your pod. Like there was like
yeah.
if you think about this, like someone like Wonderland who he lost in top 32, I think like 3 DLCs or something, or 2 or 3 DLCs, like, or he cut three
Yeah.
of them or something. And if he hadn't had that deep run in Seattle, like he would have been someone that you could have run into, like someone who like a top tier player, but just had a bad break at the wrong time, unfortunately. Um,
All your Wochucks.
yeah, exactly. As someone like Wotruk, like it's
Yep.
crazy. So yeah,
Yeah.
so there's gonna be it's meant to be a sweaty tournament, and like Mike was saying, like your pod will be very indicative of how your day can go. But hey, it might just be your day. Who knows?
Hmm. True.
Sometimes it's just your day. You win 10 games before you lose 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Um, that is it. So look out for that for sure. I think it's Friday, right? They go on
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday.
Early
Yes.
morning Friday, so you have to get there like Thursday night at least.
Yep. Oh no, but I think like
No, ticket sales.
tickets. I
Oh,
think are
ticket sales Friday 8 p.m.
Friday 8
Friday 8
p.m. Yep,
p.m.
Friday 8 p.m. So
So everybody's gonna have their alarm set. Everybody's gonna
Yep.
be ready to go.
Yep.
Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Fastest fingers in the West. Yeah, fastest
Yep.
fingers in the West.
I'll be home from work. I'll have to take a nap, and then I'll be like, don't talk to me. I gotta focus. uh, So small, or not small, but big bit of team news. So for those of you that didn't watch or weren't able to, our team was lucky enough to compete in an exhibition match for the ICL, the Illumineers Champions League. For those of you that don't know, it is a team format, so 3v3. Whoever wins 2 of the 3 matches wins their set. And we were lucky enough to compete against our local rival in Florida, Team Illuminati, Stefan and the crew. They brought a really good team with some really good decks, and we had Mike play, Brian, and then Michael. And luckily enough, we were able to come out on top, 2-1. In all 3 sets went to three games, so they were all super close sets. So we're gonna just kind of just recap that. So we'll start with Brian. Brian, I know you went last in the matches, but
Yeah.
we'll let you go first in your recap.
And unfortunately, yeah, last in the matches, which thankfully didn't really matter at that point. Like it still
Yeah.
obviously wanted to win, but we were already up 2-0, so the pressure was kind of off. But game one, I took a green purple staff bounce deck. Game one, like the plan worked flawlessly. Bounced some stuff, gained a bunch of lore, and I don't think it was ever really like close. And the deck worked flawlessly. Game two, Monty was on the play, and before I could even develop my board, it was already game over. Those 3 Quester Simbas were popping off.
Yep.
The Daisy Duck, I couldn't answer it right away, so it just kept getting a bunch of lore. And then game 3, I made a crucial mistake in turn 4. I had the Cove, a Diablo, shifted Diablo in the Cove, and it had 2 damage on it, and I decided to play my Genie instead of the Muses because Monty had inked a Brawl the turn before. If I had stuck the Muses, it would have been protected due to Ward, but I drew a card off of the Genie, and then I realized my mistake too late, and I passed the turn, and I opted not to draw, which, again, another mistake, but he had a 3-drop Sisu, and with the cards in my hand, he was able to take out my Cove with his Sisu and the Daisy, and then he had a second Brawl in hand, and that was kind of all she wrote at that point. I still want to believe in the deck. I think it still has legs. This meta has definitely sped up a bit. And again, maybe I could be wrong, but I think the EU Continentals is kind of meta defining to a degree, at least leading into the NA Continentals. And I think a lot of people kind of shift depending on who wins or what are the top decks or what kind of shines throughout that weekend. But I definitely agree between green purple getting a bunch of good support cards and stuff like Amber, Ruby, everything's kind of sped up, and then we have Amethyst Steel as well. So that was my run. So I ended up going 1-2, but I think I did the deck justice in game 1 and kind of fell short on game 3. Game 2, there was
Yep.
not much I could have done different on that one. But
Yeah, that game too, you kind of just got run over, which
yeah, run over.
his deck did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Anything in the deck that you think about changing right now, or you're still kind of toying with some?
Yeah. I still am not I had tested, and I know the commentators touched on it, like, oh, why isn't he running Deceiver Vol?
Mm.
I found it to be kind of slow, especially if you're trying to land the staff on 2. You play Deceiver Vol. If something like a Brawl comes out and kills your Deceiver Vol, it feels really bad. Whereas by playing maybe a kit on 3, you get a immediate benefit from it with the ETB. I tested it with the Deceiver Vol. Again, I found it to be slow, but maybe as a 2 of or something in there.
Yeah,
the
sure.
payoff, if it sticks, the payoff Deceiver Vol into Muses and then having a song is massive.
Yep.
But you can also see the reverse of that and get blown out. Granted, if you have a shifted Diablo out on the board and you kind of make them choose, like, hey, what do you want? There's always that, but kind of gotta stick to the most consistent game plan.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And still figuring it out. Again, we're still pretty darn early. Hasn't even been a month into the new set, so
it's not even at big box release yet. So I mean, we're still LGS release only. No, but you definitely did the deck justice for sure. And a couple small plays here and there for sure. But hey, you know what? It was okay. You
hard
did
matchup
well.
too.
Yeah, definitely a tough matchup. Like he can kind of vroom a little bit, and you're just kind of like, oh man, I hope I can hit some bounces.
Yeah.
and then also like you're burning a lot of bounces early, so then you're not getting them with staff up. So then you're like, that's a lot of your lore game too. So like that, it's a hard give and take for sure.
I will say the inclusion of the befuddle was kind of like because it didn't synergize well with the muses, but just to keep that early game pressure off of me was huge. Again, thank you to Mikey for making that suggestion. But that's why we have the team. That's why you're testing. That's why you're playing with your friends, playing with your teammates, and trying to figure out what works best and what doesn't. And people kind of giving you that reality check, like having people that are willing to be like, hey, this isn't it, or hey, you need to change this, or look at something else. Like I sincerely enjoy it, and that's what we're here for. So
Definitely.
Live and learn.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it was a learning experience for sure. It's our first time, obviously, trying a team thing like this too. So we're looking forward to the main event for sure. And I believe we're gonna start. I think they're starting it after Worlds. So hopefully we get another exhibition match. I definitely love that. Now, Mike, you went second, playing your tried and true Blurple list, and you went against Stefan, their team captain. So how in a very unadvantageous matchup for you. So why don't you talk about your matchup and your run?
Yeah. Before I get into that, I do want to say with Brian, just going off of Brian's point there, how having a team and bouncing stuff off, like it's pretty cool. And I'm sure John's going to throw up the deck list as we go through each of our performances and stuff. But innovative, like I mean, we didn't play a meta deck. I mean, I would say probably not in the top 5. A green purple color combination is sure. Same thing with green steel is a color combination to top 5 deck. But the list that we played, you guys will see on your screen, were definitely not decks that you would see in the top 5, but we were able to get victories for 2 of the 3 games. So it's a lot of that practice, right? That we do, and it's not. I'm kind of bad at this, where an idea I can be really opposed to it and be a little blunt about it and say, no, Joey, that's not going to work, right? Like that happens quite a bit, but he still tries it, right?
Yep.
And we'll put it through the paces. And I may not be a believer, but once it starts working, like, look, we'll put other paces into it and keep trying it out. So it is a really cool thing. So if you're out there and you're like, I really like this game, I play online where I can get games in. If you can find some friends in the area that are playing the game too, that you guys can both kind of sharpen each other, it's there's nothing better. You're growing the journey together. A journey by itself is fun, but sharing it with others is just so much more fun.
100%.
So yeah, if you can find friends to do that, do it. I mean, look at Illuminati. They're a great example of that. They basically, and I don't want to speak for them, but most of them went to the same LGS. They made a team and just one of them became coach, one of them became captain, and they've just been grinding. and they've all grown tremendously as players. Even since Lorcana came out, right? Like I remember when they first started, like some of them were really struggling to get some of the concepts. Now where they're it's a match when you're playing against them.
Oh yeah.
So it's really cool to see. But to go into my match itself, I know what most of them play, and I was thinking in my head, who are they going to bring? What are their three going to be? Like they're going to know what I'm on, so they're going to prep for this. And the two decks you got red purple, green purple, steel song, red blue. Like those are a lot, and then amber ruby with Monty. So I knew it was going to be some mixture of those. And the one thing I didn't want to see was steel song. I'll be honest, it's the matchup I didn't want. And then I can win steel song on the play. On the draw is when it's like really hard. So once I lost the die roll, I was like, oh, here we go. It's going to be a grind. And it was. Stefan played great. There were hard fought matches for sure. There's newer cards that we're still kind of trying to figure out. I think that I know the commentators mentioned something, and I'm going to go more detailed into it, like where I took certain plays and certain lines. I'm going to do a video where I go over my whole VOD and really walk through what my thought process was on each of those plays, because just to say it to you now wouldn't really do it justice when you can see it in front of you. And I'll say, like, look, this is what I had him on, and this is why I didn't do this or I didn't do that. And I can explain that. But he played great, and I know the one big one that people were talking about was him playing Naveen and not wheeling. I think it was game 3.
It was game 3.
Yeah. I kept my hand like 1 to 2 cards the whole time. So that his wheel was as bad as possible. I think I had less cards than him the entire time, even when he played the Naveen. So, sure, he could have done that. And only because I know what I friends the following turn, so I knew the next 2 cards that I drew. It was like Bell and something else. And if he would have wheeled me, I would have gotten the Bell and something else that he ended up wheeling the following turn. And it would have been bad. Like, I would have been able to wipe his whole board and just kind of reset from there. And again, I'll walk through it in details on the video itself. But I actually think him not doing that was the right play for that scenario. And then the other play that he did that completely threw me off was I was keeping him off of 5-cost singers like the whole time, game 2.
Game 2.
And then he hard casted the wheel. That play like completely screwed me up because my hand was so good, and I had set up again because Bell's so big in that matchup. You get three damage down on your stuff, and you're able to just wipe out whatever he plays. And any singer is at 3 health. Like he's playing Big Queen, playing Naveen, playing Ariel. So all those are targeted with Bell if my characters have 3 health or 3 damage on them. So to be able to use that Bell to kill one of his just played characters, and he doesn't get any song value off of it, that's how you beat Steel Song typically as Blurple. But he hard casted the wheel, and I was like, man, like you think, oh, they paid 5 costs to give me 7 new cards, great. No, it was bad. Like he drew me into a bunch of garbage. So he ended up winning that too, and he deserved to win. Like I'm not saying he did it, but it was a really good play that is kind of out of the box, right? Like you wouldn't think, I really don't want to hard cast this, right? So kudos to him on that. What a fun event. We got to do interviews, we got to talk about our team and just our history, how we came to be, and all that. It was just super. Shout out to those guys, Rod and Wonderland for having us. So.
Yep.
It was really
cool.
Cool.
I think it's the only ICL exhibition match that has been, aside from myself, 5 of the players participating were all in the same room. So that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We got to do the videos, and that was true.
Yep,
true.
that was it was. We're lucky enough to do that for sure. Like I said, I was jealous that I couldn't play, unfortunately. But now you guys will see and hear from Michael and his run. He played Emerald Steel, a little out of the box Emerald Steel, with Robin Hoods and Mine Train. Triton's Decree, which was a last-minute addition that we told him not to play.
I think everybody on the team was like, don't play this card.
Don't play this card. Nope. We specifically said, Mike said specifically, play Gazelle, and he was like, nah, Decree, it's good, I promise. And it was bad. It was not good.
It was bad, but he still won.
he still pulled it out 2-1 against Green Purple. So we'll hear from Michael now. Enjoy.
Hello everyone, it's Mike Sr., also known as Momentum with Freedom Gaming. I just want to give a quick rundown on ICL last week and talk a little bit about the deck that I ran. It was a great exhibition game. I thought we had a good time with our friends and rivals when we were versed against Illumineer Illuminati. I was matched up with Gabe. He's a great player. He played Emerald Amethyst. I played Emerald Steel. I wasn't sure what I was going to play. I hadn't played that type of deck since Vegas, but I figured it'd give me the most consistency and the best opportunity against a variety of decks. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to go against. So, and knowing, if you guys know me, I'm going to play something that's a little different. So I have the Seven Dwarfs Mines along with Doc and Happy to go in and ping. And I also am playing the Go-Go Tamago to benefit from that ping, along with Tinkerbells, Cannons. I play 2 Triton's Decree, which I get some flack about, but I think there's a place for that in this meta today. I also am playing the Robin Hood that allows you to benefit from having damage on characters. You gain lore for each character that has damage. And also the Go-Go Tamago. During play, I've been messing with location decks. I really do want to make a great location deck to play. Pretty close, so stay tuned. But anyways, get back to this. I hadn't played this deck in a while. I made some mistakes. I exerted Beast. I should have never exerted Beast. You just don't do that. And some other plays. Might be too many unequables in the deck. I've got to take another look at that. I may add a Gazelles that allows some of the players to, or not some of the players, a character to gain evasive, which is something with this meta, especially with the Genie. That's every Amethyst player is playing Genie now, which it's a great card, and also the Elsas. It still can do something with Diablo. So I think Gazelle might be an addition. A couple other options I'm looking at. But overall, the deck did well. It was fun. There were some lines I had to make some tough choices on. I think overall it worked out. We ended up with the victory, and we'll take it. Y'all have a great day, and enjoy the holiday.
All right, thank you for that, Michael, and once again, congratulations on starting us off with the win and getting the ball rolling in our ICL match. Thank you again to everyone in ICL for having us. We definitely enjoyed it, and thank you to Illuminati for a great match, and I look forward to our rematch, whenever and however that may be. So the last thing we just want to talk about tonight is going to be the Battle of the Bay tournament, which took place in California, I believe San Francisco specifically. I could be wrong on that, though. Spessy ran it. He was at Pixar, and he ran a big 100-person event. It was pretty cool. They gave the first prize got one of each set championship full art, a case, and a really cool trophy. I don't know if you guys saw the trophy, but the trophy.
Yeah, I saw the trophy. Yeah.
I did not.
It was really good. It was like the logo. It was like pretty decent sized trophy, honestly. So it was a pretty solid top 8. The main player there was Ed. I believe it's Ed Chu. Is that his last name? I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
He was your DLC Fort Worth winner on Ruby Amethyst, and he, of course, was playing Ruby Amethyst once again. And it was about as close to a masterclass I felt. And this is like after watching people like Kendall play and any other top tier like Red Purple, like he's a master of his craft for sure. And his list was pretty cool. He had the new Genie Wish Fulfilled, playing 2 Dragonfire, playing 2 Maui Shark. And then the 2 Sisu Empowered siblings. So pretty standard. A couple flex spots here and there, but it was a great performance. I know Brian, I don't think you were watching with us, but Mike, you saw it. Anything you picked up from him that you liked?
It was cool to watch that final match. The way they danced around Flynn's.
Yep.
In the beginning was pretty cool because I think they both opened Flynn Sisu like on both games, and I think Charles was the other player. He missed a 1-drop on one. And because he missed the 1-drop, it kept that card in his hand. So he always had more cards, and Ed was able to just, had to play around it to where his Flynn was triggering and the other players wasn't. Mm-hmm. So it was cool. It was really cool to see. And then his Sisu, when he did play, he did like a little dance that was pretty cool because it's like his calling card. And I think it killed like 3 or 4 things. So
yeah,
or banished. Sorry, not killed, banished. So yeah, but it was fun. It was a fun event to watch. It's cool to see some set 6 stuff. So yeah, it was fun time.
Yeah, definitely. It was a like this is like like week 2 set 6, so just seeing just more stuff, like people getting more cards and just seeing more cards that are coming into the meta. Um, but then the top 8 was pretty solid top 8. We had 2 Ruby Amethyst, 2 Amethyst Steel, 2 Steel Song, 1 Green Steel, and then 1 GP. So pretty balanced, like the top decks that you'd expect to see. The big exclusion obviously would be the Ruby Sapphire, Popsicle, or Oswald, or whatever you're playing in that now. So that was the one big exclusion from the top 8. There were still a couple in the top 16 though. Standard
I think
stuff.
it was second most represented too.
Yeah, exactly. It was it was definitely high played. They just unfortunately just fell short. No Sapphire Steel either. There was a couple. I think there was one or two. I think there was two. One in the top 16 as well. So, but Brian, you wanted to talk about the GP list a little bit.
Yep, as you all know, I love Emerald Amethyst, and in 7th place here we have EA Sports. It is in the game.
Great
But
name.
his list, he's running 59 characters and one item. That one singular item being Maleficent's Staff. And the only bounce cards that he has in his list is going to be the 4 of Cloud Kicker. I think this one item was a specific for any counter to any other Amethyst decks. So purple steel, other green purples, maybe the blurple lists or whatever. So I think he used it basically to gain a few extra lore, but kept it pretty low to the ground overall. He's got the Cursed Merfolks, your Diablos, the new Diablo set 6, Bonsais, and then I think obviously Genie, the White Roses, as well as the Merlin Goat. So you're just kind of racking up the lore steadily and turning sideways. He does have a little bit higher top end with the 2 Clarabelle Light on her hooves and the Ursula Sea Witch Queen, but I think now with every Emerald deck, their go-to now is going to be Go-Go Tamago, and he's got 4 of them in there. I saw some crazy lore gain, not just from the ICL exhibition matches, but watching some of these matches, especially running into with Ruby Sapphire, where you have these really big-bodied characters, and they've been crushing your smaller characters with Maui or whatever, and then or even Tamatoa. Now you come down, slap this Go-Go, and gain 3, 4, 5 lore. Yep. Especially if you've already turned the corner and you're into double digits. Cooking, baby.
Lot of extra reach.
Yeah, very very cool list.
No friends is crazy to me though.
Yeah, no friends. I guess between the 3 rabbits and the 4 genies.
Yeah.
And then he does have the bounce package with the Miz, but to know only 2 snakes, and then everybody I think is still on 4 foxes,
of course.
And 4 crab. But yeah, and then Elsa's great, and I think a very interesting list.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. Like you see, he's definitely went more the aggro package too with the Curse Merfolk and the Bonsai. But then like we talked about with the Go-Go, Go-Go is such a good card. It's one of my favorite cards of the set. I think I talked about it like pretty early on. We were doing previews. I was like, this card is really really cool. She's gonna be very fun. I think I called her he and everything before I saw the movie, which I finally saw. So the movie is actually legitimately good.
It's really good.
It actually is really good. I finally saw it, so I'm not a hater anymore. So thank you for that, Brian. Like I said, it was like it's a very cool list. I like it a lot for sure. I don't know if I would actually play it, but it's got some stuff. That's for sure. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. It's definitely very niche into the meta. Like if you have a lot of Amethyst in your meta, whether it be Ruby Amethyst, Amethyst Steel, or even Emerald Amethyst, like you got some game into it for sure. And I don't think people will be expecting 59 characters. So very cool list for sure. And then Mike, you wanted to talk about one of the Amethyst Steel lists. I know that's kind of been going around a lot too, since we talked about Dylan last week, and then just 2 more popping up in this top 8 too. So why don't you just go ahead and talk about it?
Yeah, I this caught my eye. I'm guessing Daniel T. The title is Jund on the list. I think he ran into Ed on the other side of the bracket. that was streamed. But looking at this list, it's kind of similar to Dylan's list, who was on the pod last week, without the blue fairy. He's also not playing Beast, which is interesting as well. But a lot of Diablo hate, the Fire of the Cannons, Twin Fire, which I think is a very good card, because you draw so many cards in Purple Steel. Being just discarding one to be able to trigger twice is really not that big of a deal. I think Robin Hood's in a really good spot right now. I think it needs to come back in the meta because Steel is so prevalent. I did think it was interesting he's not playing Calhoun. That's very interesting because I think it's a really good card, but he chose to go the Smee route to keep the uninkables lower. But Tinkerbell, I think, is the one that's kind of under everybody's radar. Obviously Red still plays Brawl. That's really annoying. But Surfer Mini was a really good card. And then Brawl came around and it stopped getting played. You're giving Purple this Surfer Mini card, and I'm not going to lie to you, I'm testing it in Blurple now. More for playing it on 6, playing 2 of them. Like ramping to 6 and playing 2, like that's... Because what's happening now in Purple, and this is across the board, I mean, from my experience, I'm not going to say I'm the I know all or whatever, that's not that at all, but what I'm seeing in the Amethyst matchups is whoever sees their genies and answers, if you can answer the opponent's genies, you'll win the game. If you don't answer their genies, you're going to lose because you're going to get to a point where Go Bounce just puts them out of reach and they end the game. So having some extra evasives, I think, is really good. Especially, it's just like, it's so reminiscent of Surfer Mini in set 2, set 3, with having the Merlin Crabs now back in the meta. So, with Tinkerbell, if you're on the draw, you play Tinkerbell. And then they quest with their genie and then you crab it. Like, that's a lot of momentum coming back, a lot of tempo swing. So, Tinkerbell is a sleeper, I think. I think most people know she's a good card. I'm not gonna say she's a sleeper, but it's a very good card. And I'm, like I said, I'm trying it in Blurple now to see how it feels. But that list is really cool, and it's a toolbox. That's why it's called Jund, right? Like it's a very toolbox deck, which I like a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you have the shift option too.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, you go Tink on 3. Quest. I mean,
you can shift on 4.
Yeah, exactly. And then shift on 4, and then sing Zeus or something like that, or sing Friends, or kill something and kill even more, or banish even more. Super cool. Also seeing like the Twin Fire, just because, like you were saying, like you draw so many cards, like so it could actually come into play. 4 of Zeus was kind of what surprised me a little bit. 4 of Zeus and no swords, but obviously it worked for him. I think the swords might have helped him out a little bit again in the Ruby Amethyst matchup. That's just me thinking. I don't know exactly how the matches played out, like if he went wide and he just couldn't handle it. But I could see maybe like 1 of swords. But definitely he's at 14 uninkables, you're kind of getting a little close. Like, I mean, I've played Amethyst Steel and been around like 10 to 12, so like getting a little higher. So I could maybe see the Calhoun or no Calhoun. I'm with you though. Like Calhoun is such an insane card that I would try to fit her in any deck that she can be played. Yep. But yeah, so that was the main decks that we saw from Battle of the Bay. We did have one Emerald Steel discard list. It was pretty solid. I liked it. The main things, my main takeaways from it was just like the one of Basel. Only 2 Cove. I've been on 3, and 3 feels really good, especially with so much Diablo hate at the current moment. 2 Go-Go's is fantastic. So that was pretty cool to me. I thought like so a pretty solid list. Is the one of Basel. Like I think I've talked to you guys about it. How Basel is not necessarily something you want to do on 4, but you want to do it like maybe to regain control later in the match, like shift on like turn 6 and then have like 2 extra ink to do something, ink something, tap 1, and then make them discard. Like maybe like if you missed like a discard or 2, and then you can like regain control, or you saying something, bounce something up to discard again. Like there's some really cool plays you can do with Basel like that. So I'm glad to see Basel getting the play. As we got the super cool enchanted that I gotta send to Brian. So right. Best enchanted in the set. Bias, of course. You can tell me in the comments which enchanted you like better.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So that's pretty much all we have for you guys tonight. A little shorter of a pod.
EU versus NA.
Oh yeah, true. We do have EU. We can touch on that real quick. I honestly didn't see any matches today, so you guys will have to tell me about how those went. Round 1 went a little rough for NA, so hopefully
it's pretty rough.
So round 2 hopefully goes a little better. Who won? Or I guess Earl lost last night. That was to
so Lamb Chops and Earl played. That was the first match of round 2. And then Kawa and Dale were the most recent match. They finished a few hours ago. Dale was able to beat Kawa's. I think that's a he even said it's a very favorite matchup for Green Steel.
Yep.
And then DeCandio and Moyne played, which was the Amber Steel versus the Purple Steel deck. So that was a pretty cool matchup. It was very close. DeCandio curved out on him game 1. It was over in like 2 minutes, and then the next 2 games took a while, and they were super close. It was really interesting. Like I'd highly recommend that. Because they both are kind of standing there in a stalemate where they don't want to quest because the first person that quests is going to get a whole bunch of value. Because crabs and foxes, and then on the Amber Steel side, he had like a Pluto up, so you're getting Rapunzel value and all that other stuff. So it was a cool fight for who was gonna flinch first kind of thing. So that was cool to see. Tomorrow, I think there's like 4 games, so it's gonna be like we'll know. Week 2 is going to be done, I think, by Wednesday.
Nice.
So it's exciting, right? Like I'm really enjoying how much eyes are getting on this because it is a really cool thing, and I'm hoping it's something that Ravensburger is noticing and maybe taking note that this is something that they should maybe do. Pavel's the one that threw this together, right? Like he was like, "Hey, I know there's some kind of banter going on between the EU and A. Let's settle it, right? Like, let's do a vote for everybody to vote for and get some of the best players that you think for your continent in there and go against each other." So it's pretty cool. It's a fun time. You're seeing such high level of gameplay.
Yep.
It's not often you get to see their hands and stuff, so you get to really see their thought process. I've learned a lot and enjoyed it a ton.
Yep, definitely. It's been a great watch. The matches that I have been able to catch, I end up watching a lot of the matches on VOD. So just based on my work schedule, so it's like you were saying, like just the fact that we get to see like high level matches like that, like without like just basically at the palm of our hands, and huge shout outs to Pavel for that. Definitely for hopefully we see more tournaments like that in the future. Maybe
not having to wait for a DLC in order to
Yep.
see the stream, so maybe as this becomes more popular and more consistent, like I think going forward we'll see a lot of this. Between ICL, ICCL, just more people being open to hosting, and then these guys are putting in their own time. I don't think they're getting paid for this or anything. So huge shout outs to all the people participating and dedicating hours to promoting the game. And as Mikey mentioned, hopefully RB does see this and kind of recognizes it, and they can do something with it or their own version of it. But I think everybody enjoys being able to kind of tune in whenever and watch a VOD on set 6. Essentially, aside from like the SSG's big tournament and stream and stuff, and without the ICCL and ICL, there would have been no major content or streams or tournaments until EU Continentals. We would have, a lot of people without Pixelborn, I think a lot of people would have been in the dark on like what's meta, what's good. So shout out to all the other content creators for Lorcana putting in the work and really pushing the product out, and good product at that. So it's awesome to see.
Yep, definitely.
For sure.
So yeah, like Mike was saying earlier, he's going to do a gameplay review for you Blurple fiends, so you guys can learn from one of the best and kind of see like his thought process and how his brain works a little bit. Full disclosure, it's a little weird, but it works out.
Yeah. Definitely.
I know.
Scary place.
That's what 2 kids do to you, right? They just, who knows?
Yeah.
I know we're gonna try to do some more streams too. Mike's gonna try to do some streams. Maybe we'll get some boxes, crack some boxes. I know Brian had fun doing that from his case. So we'll definitely have some more content pushing out for you guys. And next pod, hopefully might have some special guests for you. Maybe we'll get Joey, and hopefully I promise we'll get Michael back in one of these soon. As long as he's not in the back of a van driving to the middle of nowhere in Central Florida. But anyway, for the rest of Freedom Gaming, I am John. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, depending when you're watching and listening to us. So have a good one. Peace.
Happy Thanksgiving too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See you guys out there. Yeah.